Being a truly feminine woman means that you understand your physical and your mental limits, and you understand the things that you need to do, the sacrifices that you need to make, and the efforts that you need to put in order for you to actually fulfill and make sure you don't step out of bounds of those limits. Hello lovely feminine women, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel, for liking the videos, for commenting, everything that you do, following me on my social media handles. It all means so much to me. And if you happen to stumble upon my channel through this video, I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button down below and join our community of feminine women who also like to talk about homemaking. My name is Cynthia and I am a housewife, but I'm also a former Miss Earth Canada, and you can find out more about me, about some of the life experiences that I have that cause for me to talk about the topics that I discuss on this channel by going to the About section of my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about femininity for college-aged women, how you can grow in your femininity and how you can use your femininity to maximize your college experience. A little bit of a note when I'm talking about college, because I know we have people from all over the world and many different countries, including Canada, tend to have different names for what we are talking about. So I am just simply referring to post-secondary educational institutions, university, technical school, etc., etc. These 3 to 5 years are really pivotal in a woman's life, and if you decide that attending college is right for you, you can really use these years to kind of practice what it is like to be in the real world as a feminine woman. If you watched my video on transitioning from princess energy to queen energy and leveling up in your femininity, you are already familiar with the fact that we do not want to stay stagnant in your feminine journey. We want to progress to the deeper elements of womanhood, and using those years in college can really help you get there. Now, if you are a young woman and you have decided that going to college is not right for you, or if you are an older woman and you have already lived this experience, I still think that you should listen to this video, because there are always points that we can take away, even if they do not directly apply to us. And as always, if you have some advice, if you have some extra tips that you want to add in, or even some questions, you can leave them down below. I would be happy to elaborate in whatever way that I absolutely can. The first and perhaps the most important topic that I want to bring up deals with your purpose. As feminine women, we do not want to wander around aimlessly, not knowing the direction in which our life is going to go. That being said, if you have decided that you want to attend college, you're going to really want to know why you want to attend. For me, I had 2 reasons. Number 1 was that I wanted to go to medical school, and I actually got my goal. If you watched my Q&A, you know that I did get accepted. I did go for a little bit of time, but I decided that it was not for me, and so I left. The second reason was that I wanted to meet my husband, because shortly after graduating, I wanted to get married. Now, we might not achieve our goals, the goals that we set for ourselves while attending college, but that's not exactly the point. The point is that you want to actually have some direction in your life. Feminine women who don't have direction are going to be burdened with extra anxiety, and this is going to impede your ability to activate what we call feminine flow, which is living in the moment. Because if you're constantly questioning what you're doing, you're not going to be able to live in the moment, and therefore you're not going to exude your feminine energy. I also wanted to add perhaps a little bit of like a mom point, even though I've only been out of university for like 3.5, 4 years, so not that long of time, but I feel confident enough to tell you that I believe you should not go to university, not go to college if you have superficial reasons for attending. If you are only going to college because of what the media is telling you and you want to live like the party lifestyle, I have to tell you that it's a very expensive way to live this lifestyle when you could just pay $12 downtown for the cover fee to the club and have a night of fun that way, and you won't have spent $200,000 on your degree. I mean that in love, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say. If you attend an institution for 4 years and you don't exactly know what you're going to get out of it, by the end you might feel a lot of devastation, anxiety, and it might lead you to have further deeper emotions that can be very depressing. This will also impede your femininity in the long run because you will be living with a lot of regret. And of course we can bounce back from that if we are emotionally resilient, which is a point that I have mentioned countless times that I encourage you to develop, but we want to kind of prevent ourselves from having to get into those situations. We want to guard our hearts. The second point is a little bit more lighthearted, but it deals with organization. I do find that although we live in the age of technology and there are Google calendars and there are all different types of apps, a paper planner might actually help you more as a feminine woman because you're actually going to be connected to the process of doing things, and the feminine woman is very in tune with the actual process of doing something. So a paper planner from that most basic level could be beneficial to you. Secondly, the purpose of generally having a planner is it's going to allow you to organize your time so that you're going to be better able to achieve your goals. You're also going to be able to structure in time for self-care, which is a very feminine thing to do. Since you will be very, very busy and most likely stressed in college, I encourage you to adopt a time blocking method. For me, this was very beneficial because I actually blocked my time in terms of days. I would focus certain days on one subject entirely, but for you that might just mean sections of a few hours. The reason why time blocking can be so effective for you as a feminine woman is because once you're done with a certain block of whatever it is you are doing, you're going to be better able to put it behind you and move on to the next thing, and you're going to have less anxiety. The third point is feminine beauty and style, which is an integral part of femininity because we know that we cannot be our best feminine selves without actually presenting ourselves to the world in a way in which we feel confident. One of the easier ways to activate your feminine confidence is to actually tap into feminine style as well as feminine beauty rituals. You can actually use the time blocking method that I recently talked about to actually schedule in a certain period of time where you're going to plan out your outfits for the week. But another thing that I highly recommend to you, which is something that I used throughout my university experience that caused for people to actually think that I was put together in all different types of circumstances, is to pick your feminine uniform. Pick a certain type of outfit or a few types of outfits that you are going to wear throughout a particular season. This is also similar to the capsule wardrobe, and I'm sure a lot of you are actually also subscribed to Jennifer the Daily Connoisseur, but the reason why I actually knew who she was well before I started my YouTube channel was because her TED Talk actually changed my life in university. Watching her TED Talk about the 10-item capsule wardrobe allowed for me to structure my seasonal capsule wardrobe, my uniform, my feminine uniform, in a way that allowed me to be put together very quickly every single day. I will insert pictures of what I wore. Keep in mind again, it's been at least 3 years, in the fall and also the winter and in like the spring and summer. As a feminine woman, you also want to feel comfortable. So I recommend that you try to go for fabrics that are stretchy or that are softer, because when you are studying or you are moving around campus, you're going to want to be able to do that and feel more confident in your body. You also don't want to be running up and down stairs with certain parts of your body hanging out. What I noticed as well in university was as the semester progressed, as we approached exam season, people looked a little bit less put together, and you want your feminine beauty and style to be incorporated in who you truly are. If you find that it is difficult for you to be presentable during exam season, for example, you're going to want to at least have 2 go-to exam outfits. And if you alternate these by, of course, washing them, I guarantee that you will look more put together. And it doesn't really matter if you are alternating the outfits every other few days, because most people are constantly concentrated on studying in their exams. But if you decide not to have a game plan for that stressful period of time in the semester, you're going to end up showing to the exam in pajama pants, and that is an instance where people will remember you for the wrong reasons. I'm a little bit all over the place with this particular topic, but I also do want to mention that yoga pants, I encourage you to find an alternative. I have mentioned in the past that the Lululemon on the fly pants are a good alternative to yoga pants because they are thicker material. There are even less expensive pants that you can even find at Costco that are still stretchy and look kind of like a combo between a dress pant and a yoga pant. The reason why in university I advocate that you do not engage in the leggings, yoga pants lifestyle unless you're going to the gym is simply due to the nature of campus and the people that might be there, because I had a stalker experience where somebody actually took pictures of me while I was wearing these pants and emailed them to me several months later. When talking about hair, you do not have to go over the top. I have noticed now, especially because I'm on the TikTok app, that there are so many young women who have different hairstyles, clips, etc., which could actually be a little bit overwhelming to you in university because you might be focused on other things. So for the purpose of not overburdening yourself and feeling less anxious, which will help you feel more feminine, try to also do the same thing where you have a certain number of hairstyles that you alternate through. Have an updo that is your go-to updo. Have a curled hairstyle that is your go-to curled hairstyle. A formal or like an event hairstyle that when you are attending a club event or a formal event, a charity thing on campus, that you're going to be able to just put together quickly. You can practice these by finding them on Pinterest, but long story short, you're just going to want to try to make it as simple as possible, but in a way that helps you feel beautiful. The next point I want to talk to you about is community, and I actually feel like I must make a video about how to make feminine community, because when I talk about community, I don't necessarily mean that you have to go out there and invent your own club or host your own event. When I'm talking about community, it could be as simple as experimenting with your conversation techniques to try to make friendships with new people. University is an excellent time for you to explore different clubs, different types of people that have a variety of interests, and learn how you can best communicate with them and learn what you can actually get out of fostering a relationship with them. Go through my feminine playlist and use the techniques of nurturing or charm and actually use these to your advantage in your university years before you actually have to step out there in the real world and you need to use these in an instant where making a mistake might be detrimental. I also encourage you not to get too attached in university. Try not to be like over committed to a certain group of people. This might narrow your opportunities, but also your way of thinking. Of course, we don't want to use people for our advantage. That's not exactly what I'm advocating for here, but I am encouraging you to go out there and to really practice your relationship building skills. When you get too overcommitted, for example, to a certain group of people, that might actually cause for you to eventually engage in too much drama, which can veer you away from the purpose of why you are attending college. This will be detrimental to your femininity because you won't be living in alignment with what you're trying to do, but you're also going to burden yourself with extra problems. Speaking of getting too attached, we must talk about dating in college. And of course, this sphere is continuously evolving and is a little bit different even over the course of the past several years where I have not been attending school, but I can tell you that some of the overarching principles still apply. You want to try not to engage in hookup culture. And I also want to warn you that when you first attend university, people are overly excited because they have so many options and they tend to pair up very quickly. But these initial pair-ups that they form tend to break up. What I'm trying to tell you is try not to get like too excited over all of your options, because this might actually cause for you to get over invested in this type of like dating culture, and it's going to perhaps blindside you and you're going to end up engaging more in hookup culture. Let me deconstruct deconstruct what I said by basically advocating for the fact that I do think that dating in college is an excellent choice if you are like me, where you attended because one of your purposes was to find your husband, but you still want to make sure that you are being intentional about it. We might differ a little bit on our beliefs, but I actually believe that dating in the pure sense of what dating used to be, as in like somebody asks you on a date, you go to, for example, dinner, and then you find out if you like each other, is perfectly acceptable to do in college and is okay to do so with a certain variety of people until you find out who you actually want to be committed to. What dating now is understood more as is like people sleeping together, which I do not advocate for. And I think that another way in which you can actually be intentional about this is to have a checklist of what you're actually looking for that person to say in the direction in which they want to go in terms of dating. When I attended university, everybody was very into asking what their 5-year plan was. So if I went on a date with a guy and his 5-year plan didn't include getting married, then I would know right then and there that that person was not meant for me. There's a lot of gray area in this topic, and I actually feel as though it could be an entire video in itself. But generally what I wanted to tell you about this point was that I don't want you to get too blinded about what you're looking for in college just because everybody is also engaging in this type of like toxic culture of hookup. And it comes back to one of my original points. If you're a feminine woman and you're investing your energy into something that is not going to fulfill the purpose in which you're striving to attain, then you're going to drain yourself even more, and it's not going to be conducive to further developing yourself in your womanhood. The next point I want to talk to you about is your health, which is also a big one because we're going to talk about physical as well as emotional and mental health. First off, physical health, you might be very, very stressed in university, so you might not have the chance to spend multiple hours a day at the gym like some YouTubers do advertise. That wasn't possible for me at all in college. I was studying a lot because I was in a very intensive program and I had like high academic goals, so going to the gym every single day was not possible. You want to find some replacement activities that you can actually incorporate into your everyday life. For me, that was parking my car very far away from class, and of course like not at night, but during the day I would speed walk to class and I would run up the stairs. That was fine for me, and at night I would stretch before I would go to bed. For you, perhaps it is pairing a social activity with your friends with some sort of sports and leisure. Now, regardless of whenever you attend university, even if you are like 40 years old, I can guarantee that the freshman 15 still is a thing. And even if you are at home right now due to the coronavirus, you are in front of your computer and you are probably studying and you are just eating your feelings. So it's very applicable that you might actually also gain the freshman 15. Now, a little bit of a disclaimer, a lot of women are still like going through puberty essentially, and it's normal to gain more weight as we actually become a more fully developed woman. But what I'm talking about is like overindulging. University can be extremely difficult on your mental health, which will play a big factor in your physical health. Some of the things that prevented me from actually eating everything that I would see at the fast food places on campus was to bring with me some go-to snacks. I would actually go to the bulk barn, which is not a barn if you live in Canada. It's just a place where you can get a bunch of different snacks and you bag them in your own individual bags and they weigh it per pound. But I would go there and I would pick healthy alternatives to common junk food. For example, I would pick pretzels over chips. I would get some nuts, some dried fruit. I would also bring with me things that were easy to make as long as there was a source of hot water. And if you have any coffee place on campus, they're probably going to give you hot water for free if you simply ask. So you can bring some like cup of soup things, and you can also bring oatmeal. Talking about your mental health now, because this is a big struggle for many women who attend university because of all the pressures. If you need to take time for your mental health, I actually advocate that you do so. Many people have the power through it mentality in university that even comes to when they are sick with the flu, where they show up to exams and put everybody else in danger, but also those people who are suffering through mental dilemmas. So many of them feel as though they need to hide it and they need to just continue living the mundane everyday to day life without taking time for themselves. But if you are seeking to develop in your femininity, you actually need to take some breathing room, and you do not have to feel like you are less of a person if you need a little bit of extra outside help. There's a fine line there where you do not want to get too involved in your emotions, because it's actually going to lead you down a negative cycle of introspection. But given the fact that college culture can be very toxic to a woman's mental health, I'm saying this with the fact that you probably already are in a place that is past that simple ability to like get yourself out of a funk of deep introspection. I also want to tell you that your professors are real people, and many of them have children that could even be your age, and they have also been where you are. If you need to go talk to them and ask for them to kind of help you, I encourage you to do so. The worst thing that could happen is that they say no. Being a truly feminine woman means that you understand your physical and your mental limits, and you understand the things that you need to do, the sacrifices that you need to make, and the efforts that you need to put in order for you to actually fulfill and make sure you don't step out of bounds of those limits. The worst that somebody can do if you actually go and ask for their help is that they can say no, and it's totally okay if they say no. You just have to move forward, but it's better to ask than to be left in the dark and wonder how you could have better helped yourself mentally. Let's end on a positive note and talk about nesting. Let's talk about your environment. The reason I brought up nesting attached to environment is because nesting is a very feminine practice, and just because you are a woman in your early 20s doesn't mean that you can't engage in the process of nesting even though you don't have a home and a family. Whatever it is, you have your own space. If you don't live on campus, that might just mean decorating your notebooks, beautifying your desk at home, beautifying your dorm room if you live there. And if you don't have $200 to go to Target or Walmart to buy decorations, don't feel bad about it. You might want to instead focus on organization. Organizing things, your physical actual materialistic possessions, can be equally as beneficial as beautifying them. You have to work with what you have. Don't feel bad if you can't have a nice bedspread like Susie down the hall in your dorm room. That's just not totally possible. Just focus on making your bed every day, cleaning and tidying your desk, little things like that, and I tell you, they will be just as effective, if not even more effective. You can also look into comfort items, bringing comfort items with you. For you, it might mean a teddy bear that you actually bring with you to university. If you don't want to show other people, you can keep it under your bed or just tucked away, but something that reminds you of a more peaceful time, because that's going to help you activate your feminine energy. Another thing that you can look into doing is actually having a little bit of a plant, like a succulent plant, something that won't perish very easily, so that you can actually get into the practice of nurturing another living thing. There are so many more elements that I can suggest, so many more tips that I could have included, and I would love to elaborate on certain points in the future. And as always, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, leave me a comment down below. I love reading them. I love getting back to all of you. You all are the best. I hope that you have a wonderful school year, whatever that means for you, whether that means that you go back to your campus or you stay at home. I hope that you can maximize whatever opportunity and time that you are given in your post-secondary education. I will see you in the next video. Lovely feminine women. Bye-bye.